It was a Sunday morning children's time, which is white-knuckle time for parents with children who come up front. And we were talking about this loving God who loves us always, no matter what, never stops. And I said something like, and our parents, and this is a suggestion to parents, that our parents reflect that love and demonstrate that love for us and to us. And so even when we do things that they don't like, they still love us. There was one little boy in this group of children, this is not in this church, who was in foster care with a family there. And he said, "Not my dad." And without really stopping to think, I said, "Well, I'm sure your dad loves you." And he said, "Not when he burns me with cigarettes." You could have heard a pin drop in that sanctuary, and it was full. What do you say to that? What do you do with that? I do not remember. The rest of the morning was blank. I just know it went quiet, and at some point we went on, and I don't know how. But what do you bet that that little boy's father experienced something like that at the hands of his father, and he did at the hands of his father and his father before him? What do you bet that that isn't part of that particular family script that follows generation after generation, sadly? Tonight we read part of the larger family script that is familiar to many of us, most of us, from Luke, the birth story, and everything that goes into it. Have you ever noticed how compact it is when you read it? In the space of 20 verses, about 3 paragraphs, you have angels serenading shepherds. So you'll have heaven coming to the earthiest of earth. You have an imperial decree sent out from Rome that everybody in the world seems to jump up, salute, and run wherever they need to run to comply with it. You have a rather scandalous story at the heart of it. This couple that are together traveling, not married, and she's very, very pregnant. And they're on their way where? To Bethlehem, right? To the city of King David, who himself was a former shepherd, whose descendants are anything but royalty. And they arrive there, we're told, and it's time for the delivery. And so the baby is born, and the stinky shepherds show up, echoing the news, embodying the news of heaven itself in this story. What the angels said and sang, they bring into this place themselves. So heaven becomes earth, becomes human in them right away. And there they are. And I'm guessing that maybe the shepherds stick around for a while because they feel right at home in this place full of animals. We're told it's the place connected with the house where the animals would be brought in at night for safekeeping. So the shepherds, this smells like home to them. It smells familiar. It's very comfortable. And the baby, Luke tells us, is sleeping in a feed bunk. Why? All together now, because there's no room for them in the inn, right? That line. It's almost a throwaway line. It's almost seems like an afterthought. And yet, it defines the story. And it underlines how wondrous this whole thing is. God's sent one is not welcome amongst the people who are supposedly watching and waiting for him. They don't recognize him, the story tells us. It's a theme that plays an oversized role in the whole Jesus story. Jesus, the one who finds no room, becomes the one who brings the broken and rejected and unwelcome and unwanted and unchosen into the center of things, restores them to community. And Luke then writes of this community that follows, that continues to stretch the circle larger and larger, the circle of acceptability, gathering in those who previously were not acceptable or accepted at all, who were excluded. This is what God does. This is who God is. The one who's given no room, who comes then into the midst of things to change the whole thing so that there is room in this place for everyone, regardless. So back to that little boy, a children's time in church, whose father made clear to him that he really didn't want him here, he really wasn't welcome in his house. There's a family in the community where we were in that church who take him in and make it very clear to him that he is wanted, that he belongs, that he is safe there, that he has a place, that there is always room for him. How precious would that be? How crucial would that be? Recently, for 4 years, we said as a nation that we had no room for the most needy of the world who were coming for a place. From what were called spit hole countries. That's not exactly the word. There's another consonant used. But you remember that? Yeah. That's vividly in my mind. It's changed somewhat, but not enough yet. And I thought how ironic was and is that how many of our ancestors, undesirables in their home countries who had no place really there, who many came from what would then have been considered spit hole countries or places or regions or communities or neighborhoods. Right now, this church is preparing to make room for an Afghan family coming to this country to resettle, to welcome them, as all kinds of other churches and communities are preparing to do, while there are millions of people around the world displaced who are looking for room, looking for a safe place. So, that is the human family script that gets played out over and over again that we seem to want to stick to way too often. This is the season of Christmas pageants. It's changed this year, last year because of COVID. But you know how that works, right? You have the story and you have the kids playing the parts. And so in this particular evening, the kids are there. They've been practicing their lines. They're in their costumes. So there are shepherds in the bathrobes, and there are the angels with the halos and the wings, and there are the sheep. And there's Joseph and Mary with the, well, she doesn't have the baby yet. She's pregnant. She's traveling. So she has a pillow, concealed not well, that shows very vividly. And there's the innkeeper. And they start the pageant, and it really goes quite well. The angels sing pretty well, and the shepherds act scared. And Mary and Joseph come to the inn, and the inn itself, that's where the extras are, because often you'll have kids who will show up who haven't been at any of the practices. So the inn was for the walk-ons. So they've been given something, and they're all kind of tucked in there, packed in there in the inn. You can see them not behaving all that well. They're there. And Mary and Joseph traveling. And Mary obviously has been around pregnant women because she has this oversized pillow stuffed under her robe, and it looks like she's just going to pop. And she's walking, oh, my back is killing me and my feet hurt so much. I mean, she's really playing it up well. It's a convincing act. They arrive at the inn, and the innkeeper meets them at the door, and she is supposed to say, "I am so sorry, we're all full up." But she looks at Mary and Joseph, and she looks at the congregation, and she looks at the walk-ons in the inn, and she says to the couple, "You really need a place, don't you? I can see that. You know, I think we can make room. Anybody here want to sleep in the barn? Tell you what, it's free tonight, and I got extra blankets, and free breakfast in the morning, and next time you come to town, lodging is half price. Any takers?" And the director freezes. Because that's not how it goes. They have gone off the script now, and nobody knows what to do now. Where does it go from there? Where does it go from here? I think that's the question. Can we go off the script that says we don't have room for you? That there's not enough for you? That you have to earn your place and your right to be here? You're too late. Your space is taken. You're not the right kind or the right color. You don't speak the right language. You don't worship the right God. Go away. We don't want your kind here. Can we go off of that script finally? We celebrate tonight the birth of one who makes room, who enters this world and says, "This is God's world. This belongs to God, and so does everyone and everything in it. No exceptions. And so there is room for all, there is a place for all, there is enough for all." Can we get to that place? We celebrate and welcome this Christ this night. Where does it go from here? Where do we go from here? Hopefully in the company of this Christ of Christmas. Merry Christmas.